Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn. We're joined by Alana. Alana is going to talk about goal creation and what it takes to have defined goals that you can reach. It's been 2 months now since we started New Year's, and we're going to see how we're doing with our goals. And I'm personally very interested in this topic, so hopefully you'll enjoy it as well. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask the questions at the end or just put them in the chat box and we're going to read your questions. Alana, I'll hand it over to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Great to be here. Yeah, delighted to see you all. Just a couple of things. As it is a lunch and learn, so I understand that a lot of people might be eating their lunch, and if that's the case, absolutely keep your cameras off. But if it's not the case and you're happy to put your camera on, it is so much nicer to present to some faces that it is to black boxes on the wall. And I'd like to get a little bit of interaction in this where possible. So if I can see you, at least I can reflect and hopefully give you the information that's going to best serve you during this very precious hour of your time today. So Neil, lovely to see your lovely face. Thank you for having your camera on. And as I say, if anybody else is happy to do so, please do. So today we are going to talk about the art of goal creation. And it really is an art. And I'll talk to you more about that later, but just remember that, the art of goal creation. And then we want to talk about goals that you're going to set that you really will achieve this year. As Janara said, we're 2 months in and into the new year. And I think a lot of people are great at setting New Year's resolutions or thinking about their goals in January. And they are a well-distant thing of the past at this stage. So I am going to crack on. Sorry, you all disappeared from my screen over here. Was there did something happen to the settings? Just give me 1 second. Yeah, I went from gallery to just me. I was like, no, I want to speak to the people, not to myself. That's the point of this. Sorry about that. So today I want to kind of touch on a few things, because obviously, yes, the goal of art creation, but there's a whole kind of system around that we want to talk about. I'm going to talk about mindset. I'm going to talk about the art of goal creation, the knowing doing gap, paradigms, and if we have time, I'm going to touch on overcoming fear and stepping out of your comfort zone. But that really depends on where we're at and how far we get through this. A little bit about me. This is not about me, but how did I get here to be talking to you about setting goals and the art of goal creation? Well, as I say, my name is Alana. My business is called Alive Experience, and I am a business and mindset coach. I've had a fairly interesting and colorful career history. I've done everything from work for a tour company in New York to be a scuba diving instructor and go on to manage a scuba diving center in Egypt and in Thailand. I've been an event producer in London and Dublin. I've set up and run my own successful event consultancy business, and then I've gone on to become a business and mindset coach. And why and how and why did I become a business and mindset coach? Because I used all of the tools, techniques, and the information that I'm going to share with you today to create some of the successes that I've had in my life. I've been studying mindset and personal growth and personal development personally for about 15 years, and I've been sharing it professionally for about 5 at this stage. My little companion there is my little Fredster, the Freddy Fredster, my personal assistant. PA could stand for something else on many occasions. She is here beside me, usually quite well behaved, but if she does pick up a fuss, you know who it is. Anyway, this lunch and learn is for actually just by a show of hands, or if you know how to use the virtual what do they call the emotions down, you can raise your hand. I'd just love to know who here is an entrepreneur or has their own business. Is that everybody? Yeah. Okay, so it's majority of people. I always say, like, this is for anyone who wants to take their business, career, or life to the next level. And, when I talk about mindset, it's, I talk about being a business and mindset coach, but it really is encompassing, because it's really important that we have the right mindset for our business, because that will also transfer into our life. And at the end of the day, most of us are working so that we can enjoy the other parts of our life. Anyone who is tired of being stuck in the same pattern year after year, getting the same results. Are we setting the same goals in January, forgetting about them by February, and realizing that we're in the same place when we come around to January again next year? And anyone who wants to close the gap between what your potential is and where you are today. And I think that's something that most people can agree on. We all know that we're capable of more, but how do we harness that? How do we bring out that potential? And then anyone who craves time and financial freedom to do the things you want to do in life. I always feel that most people go into business for themselves because they love what they do and they want the time and money freedom. We want to earn more money, work less time, so that we can use that money and that time to do the other things that we love in life. But so much of the time, that isn't the reality. People go out into business on their own because they love what they do, and then they get stuck in a rut, working all the hours that the day has sent, not earning enough money, and all of a sudden the dream is becoming a little bit of a nightmare. And I always ask my clients, does running your business make you feel alive, or does it suck the life out of you? And for me, my business name, Alive Experience, came from that moment when I did finally jump off the cliff, took the big, bold move to go out on my own. And, after months of coming to an edge of the cliff and coming back in again, through fear and doubt and worry and all the things that do, when I did finally make the decision and take the leap of faith, I felt alive. And I've continued to do so ever since. And I really want that for everybody else. But if we're not feeling alive in our business or our life, a lot of the time it's due to blocks. And again, I don't know if anyone can resonate with any of these blocks, or if we're in any of these places. I've had all of these at one time or another, probably all of them together at certain times of life, which is what led me to get into mindset and personal development. But when we're stuck in lack of growth, we get blocks when we've got no direction or purpose, not reaching your potential, no creative ideas, don't know the how, no belief in yourself, paralyzed by fear. Do any of those resonate with anybody? I always find, and even if you're willing to, put it into the chat there, what number most resonates with you, whether it be now or in the past, you've felt these blocks most. I know for me, the two that, stuck out the most and still do is don't know the how and the fear. But I'm going to be telling you today, we don't always need to know the how. Thank you. 2, 5, and 6. Yeah. And that's it. So much lack of self-belief. We all have limiting beliefs that we need to identify, but we can overcome. Not reaching potential. Number 3, Jerry. Yeah. Again, we all know that we're capable of more. How do we get that more out of ourselves without working harder, without putting more stress and pressure on ourselves? So we're going to talk about goals and the art of goal creation. But before that, I want to talk to you a little bit about mindset. And if we're going to talk about mindset, we need to talk about the mind. And I want to give you a little crash course in the mind and how the mind works. This picture, this little stick man, I used to draw them. It was the only thing I could draw when I was a kid. the stick man. Now, this came from a gentleman called Dr. Terman Fleet. He was involved in the healing arts. He was from San Antonio, Texas, and he realized that as a physician, they were treating people's symptoms, but they weren't actually treating the cause of the symptom. And in order to treat the cause of the symptom, they had to know where the cause of the symptom lay, where the cause lay. And he realized that as humans, we think in pictures. Now, what do I mean when I say that? Well, if I was to say to you, what does my dog look like? I just showed you a picture of my dog. If you saw the picture, and if you remember, and if you didn't see that picture and you can't remember what my dog looks like, think about what your own dog looks like or your neighbor's dog looks like. What happens? A picture of the dog comes onto the screen of your mind. If I ask you what a coffee cup looks like, a picture of a coffee cup comes onto the screen of your mind. We think in pictures. But if I was to ask you what the mind looks like, one of two things is going to happen. Most people will think of the brain. If I was to ask you what the mind looks like as a picture of the brain, what comes to the screen of your mind? Most of the time it is. But the brain is not the mind. The brain is actually the electronic switching station for the mind. But the mind is in every cell of our body. So we don't actually have a picture of the mind because there isn't a picture of the mind. But if our mind thinks in pictures, we need a picture in order to be able to give order to the mind. So this Dr. Terman Fleet, who realized this, who's like, as I say, we're treating symptoms, we're not treating the cause. The cause comes from the stem, from the mind, from the thinking, and without a picture, we're in trouble. So he created this very simple picture. He drew a big circle at the top, and then he drew a line through the middle, and he put the top part of the mind being the conscious mind, and the second part being the subconscious mind. Now, there's more to the mind than just the conscious and the subconscious mind, but for the purposes of this, they're the two that we need to become most familiar with. And then he drew a line to the body. Now, let's go into this in a little bit more detail. The top part of the mind, the top part of the circle is the conscious mind. The conscious mind is our thinking mind. Right now, you are using your conscious mind. You're listening to what I have to say, if you're listening to what I have to say, and you are using your senses. You can see me, you can hear me, and you're using those senses to take in that information. Our conscious mind has the ability to accept or reject any information that comes in. So you can be listening to what I have to say and going, this is really interesting, yes, and actually really resonate with this, or you can decide, no, this is not, I don't agree with this information. We always have that choice. Our conscious mind can accept or reject ideas, and it can also originate ideas. The subconscious mind, on the other hand, has got to accept any information that's impressed upon it. The subconscious mind is responsible for 96 to 98% of everything that we do. And the subconscious mind, as I say, it's responsible for 96 to 98% of everything we do. And it's our body that does the doing. It's our body that takes the action. So our conscious mind thinks. It accepts or rejects an idea. If it accepts an idea and it gets emotionally involved with the idea, it will impress that idea into the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind will then move the body into action, the doing. The action will cause a reaction. Every time you do something, you get a reaction, which causes your results. So, thoughts in our conscious mind, impressed into our subconscious mind, moves our body into action. Our body takes the action, which causes a reaction, which causes our results. Does that make sense? Now, 96 to 98% of everything we do comes from that subconscious mind. And something just to make you aware of. When we were born, we came into this world kicking and screaming, bundle of joy, we did not have a conscious mind. So our subconscious mind was wide open. And everything we saw, we heard, we experienced, we felt, all of that information went into our subconscious mind and formed your self-image and the beliefs that you operate with today. So some of the things that you were told by your parents, by your teachers, some of the experiences that you had as a child are actually still creating you to take the actions that you're taking today. And therefore giving you the same results as you got last year and the year before and the year before that, and so on. So how do we change that? We're operating from an old program and an old system. Now, one of the things six of the things I want to make you aware of is that I spoke about us having our senses. We can see, we can hear, we can smell, we can taste, we can touch, and they are all amazing to have. And they allow us to interact with the outside world. They allow us to take information in and allow us to accept or reject that information. But again, we have been programmed to take everything we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch nearly as a given. We're living from the outside in, as opposed to living from the inside out. Pawn in somebody else's game. We need to get more in tune with what I call our higher mental faculties. And we need to start using these at a more conscious level so that we can start creating results that we want. So let me talk to you about the higher mental faculties. None of this will be new information to you, but it's kind of then you go, when is the last time that I consciously used this? So we've got our perception. Our perception is our point of view, how we view the world. Now, however many people we've got on this call, if we were to all look at the one thing, we would have, I think as the 9 people would have 9 different perceptions of the same point of view that we're looking at. And I love the saying, when you change the way you look at something, the thing you look at changes. So sometimes if you're looking at something and you don't like the result it's giving you, you don't like the point of view, change it. You've always got that choice. And we should always be doing that dance. You know, sometimes we get so tunnel visioned, we can only see the one way of doing something. Stop and look at it from another perception and another point of view, and the whole thing can change and it can open up to a world of opportunity. The other thing we've got is our imagination. Now, our imagination is an incredible gift that we've been given. But I remember before I started getting into this, I thought imagination was something for kids. And I remember as a kid being told I didn't even have a very good imagination. And a lot of kids, you're told to go off and use your imagination to get out from underneath your parents' feet or your teacher's feet or whatever. But then once you get to that school age and you've got to sit down and you've got to read your books and you've got to learn your 10 times tables or whatever it is. And we stop encouraging the use of our imagination. But remember this, absolutely everything in this world has been created twice. First, in somebody's imagination. They didn't look at what the world looks like now. What are the current results that we're getting? They use their imagination to go somewhere that we've never been before, that they've never been before, or something that we've never had before. And when I say that imagination, I mean, I've got my, trusty iPhone here. So, an additional limb. Steve Jobs used his imagination to create the iPhone. It didn't exist before. And he went, wouldn't it be cool? Maybe he didn't quite go, wouldn't it be cool? But like, wouldn't it be great if we could put a phone and a supercomputer and a Walkman and a camera and all the other million things that are in there in one little tiny device that everybody's going to carry around and won't be able to live without within a few years' time. He had the thought, he imagined it, and then he found the way to do it. He brought the people, the resources, and everything came together so that he could see his vision that he brought up in his imagination in the real world. We have our intuition. Intuition picks up vibrations and translates those vibrations. We all know when we get that feeling in our gut. Why did you do that? I don't know. I had a gut feeling that it wasn't right, or it was right, or whatever. And we're always right. The gut feeling is always right. But so much of the time we're so stuck in our overthinking conscious mind that we're not tuning into our intuition and our vibration. So we really need to get back in touch with that. We also have our will. Will gives us the ability to hold one picture on the screen of your mind to the exclusion of all outside distractions. Willpower. The thing with willpower is we all only have a certain amount of it. That's why willpower alone doesn't tend to work. But it does help us to get on the road to making changes and doing things in a way that might be better for us. We also have memory. I know a lot of people say, oh, but I have a terrible memory, or a great memory. Nobody's got a good or a bad memory. People just have a strong memory that they've been practicing using or not. All of these things are muscles, exactly like the muscles in your arm. If you go to the gym and lift weights every day, you'll get a strong bicep. If you don't, you won't. It's as simple as that. So all of these things are muscles that when we practice using them, they get stronger and stronger every day. So it's our responsibility to start getting in tune with these faculties, practicing using them, building the strength, and starting to live from the inside out and creating the things that we want in our lives, which we'll talk about more in a bit. And then reason. Reason gives you the ability to think, accept or reject ideas. Because we can't accept everything that's told to us. We're being told a million conflicting ideas every day. We choose which ones we want to engage with, which ones we don't, which things we follow, which things we agree with. That is always our choice. And remember that. It's always your choice. Nobody can make you think something you don't want to think. Yep. Did I go? So yes, success is 95% mindset, 5% strategy. Who agrees with me there? Give me a thumbs up, a show of hands, a one in the chat, something. 95% mindset, 5% strategy. Gary agrees. Aidan agrees. Glara agrees. I obviously agree. So we're definitely 50%, if not more, agreeing on that, which is great, which is a great start. What is success? Look, success is different too for all of us. But we can all reach the success that we want if we have the right mindset. Learn to use our mind, learn those higher mental faculties, use them at a conscious level, and we will reach the success that we want. But what is success? How do we measure success? As it's different for everybody, but the way we measure it is through the results that we get. What results are you getting right now? Are they what you want? Are they what you think you can achieve? Or do you want more? And I think it's safe to say that most of us want more. And that's not a bad thing. I will say, what do we really want? And this is the thing, when we start to think about the things that we really want. So again, think our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, and the actions that we're taking. So I want financial freedom. That would be success for me, whatever that number is. That's what I want. But what am I thinking? Am I thinking about the life that I'm living with financial freedom? Am I thinking how that looks? Am I thinking of how I can, ideas and opportunities and things that I can do in order to move me towards that financial freedom? Or am I thinking, I'd love financial freedom, but you got to work hard to earn money. Money doesn't grow on trees. I don't come from money. Money's bad, whatever. When you were a child, you were programmed. That, remember when you didn't have a conscious mind, that 0 to 7. Whatever your environment that you were in, you learned what way you thought and the beliefs that you had about money. And you're operating from those beliefs today, whether you realize it or not. So we might want financial freedom, but again, think of our stick man. Remember, you think in pictures, pull that picture back up into your mind. I'm thinking I want financial freedom at a conscious level, but my conscious mind is only responsible for 2 to 4% of everything I do. My belief system, my subconscious, program from when I was a child, doesn't believe I can have financial freedom because I've got to work really hard. I don't come from a wealthy background. Money doesn't grow on trees. I don't deserve to be wealthy, whatever that story is that comes through. And if that's what the belief is at a subconscious level, you're never going to be taking the actions that you need to take in order to get yourself to financial freedom. Does that make sense? And we can do that for every area of our life. Relationships. What sort of relationships do we have in our life? What sort of relationships do we want? And this is another thing to take away. We become the average of the 5 people we spend our most time with. So who are you spending your time with? Are you thinking, I'd love to be surrounded by positive people, but all you're ever thinking about is the negative people around you or whatever? Again, health. And then we talk about time, time management. There's no such thing as time management. We all get the same 24 hours in the day. None of us have any idea how much time we have left. So all we have is now and the choice with what we're going to do with the time that we've got. So have you heard the saying, we become what we think about? It's the one thing all the great thought leaders agree on. And it literally comes from the law of cause and effect. What we sow, we reap. So again, I want to be financially free. I think about financial freedom. I think about what my life looks like when I have, as a financially free person. I feel the emotions that I would feel if I was financially free. And if I think in that way, what am I going to be impressing into my subconscious mind? I'm going to be impressing the thoughts of a financially free person, which will move me to take action, which will create a reaction, which will create the results of a financially free person. But again, what do most of us do? I would like to be financially free, but I'm going to spend my time worrying about the fact that I don't have enough money to pay my bills, or I'm worrying where my next client's coming from, or whatever, or I don't, you've got to work hard. So I'm not working hard enough to have financial freedom. We become what we think about. So start to get really precious about your thoughts. Stop yourself during the day. What was I thinking? What am I thinking? Am I thinking where I want to go, or am I thinking where I don't want to go? Because what you're thinking is where you're going to go. It's the results that you're going to get. We literally have a built-in GPS system. Think of your Google Maps. If I was to say to you, let's meet for a coffee in town at 2 o'clock, we wouldn't get very far, would we? We'd walk into town, what town is that? What coffee shop is that? Where are we going? So we need to get specific. We need to decide where exactly we're going for the coffee. So I'm going to meet you on Grafton Street in Bewley's at 2 o'clock for a coffee. Great. I can stick that into my Google Maps and I can make my way directly to that place. Now, we need to do the same when it comes to the things we want in life. So how do we set our GPS in our mind? Our Google Maps, we take out our trusty iPhone. With our mind, how do we do it? Well, we do it first and foremost by setting goals. Okay. What are the goals? What goals do you have for your finances? What goals do you have for your relationships? What goals do you have for your health? What goals do you have for to spend your time? Get specific. If my goal is to have more money, somebody could come along and give me a tenner, I'd have more money. Woohoo! Goal accomplished. A bit like meet you in town for a coffee and grab a coffee, but I'm probably not going to meet you. So get specific about what those goals are. And this is where we come into the art of goal creation. Now, before I talk about that, I want to give you a statistic that you may or may not agree with. This was one of my mentors, Bob Proctor, said 97% of the population do not have any real goals, while 3% are making it happen. Who would say, no, 97%, there's no way, way more than that have goals? I know I would have said no. I know people are talking about goals all the time. For sure, there's way more than 97% of the population, or way more than 3% of the population have goals. But he said, have any real goals? So lots of people have goals to have more money, to be healthier, to lose weight, whatever it is, but they don't have real specific goals. And also they don't have what we call a C-type goal. Now, in the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily trivia until ultimately we become enslaved by it. I love that quote, because I see so many busy people getting absolutely nowhere in life. Round and round and round and round in circles in their busy life, getting absolutely nowhere. And then you see the likes of, I just watched his documentary on HBO there, Branson. Richard Branson has flown to space. He's bought an island. He doesn't have any more time than anybody else. He didn't have any more resources. He wasn't any more intelligent than anybody when he started out, but he got really clear on what he wanted. He decided what he wanted, set specific goals. And that's the difference between the Richard Bransons of the world. They decide and they use their imagination. And they really decide what they want. And they don't get busy being busy, because there's always going to be a million things to do on your to-do list. You're never going to have enough time to get everything done. So you need to start being really clever about the things that you do with your time. so that you can be more effective, so that you can be moving towards your goals. So, goals. I first want to point out that goals are extremely important. We should all have them, but they're not to get, they're to grow. As humans, we're living creatures. We should always be growing. If we're not growing, we're disintegrating. You'll have heard of comfort zone. There's no such thing as a comfort zone. You get into a comfort zone, you're comfortable for about 2 minutes, then you get stagnant, and then you start going backwards. You lose your motivation, you lose your drive, all of those things, and you start going backwards. So that's why we always want to have something that we're going after. Not to be happy when we get there, but to experience the journey, the adventure, and the growth that we're going to have in that journey of getting there. Now, if only 3% of the population have real goals, how's that? Because I know that way more people seem to think they have goals. And the reason is a lot of people will fit into these categories. So the first is an A-type goal. An A-type goal is a goal that you know how to achieve. So it's not really a goal. There's no growth in that. You already know how to do it. You've done it before. Not to say don't do it, but it's not going to go into that category of a real goal person that's really making things happen for themselves. The next is what we call a B-type goal. And this is the one that majority of people are going to fit into. And this is where you literally take an inventory. You kind of go, okay, well, I have this and I have this and I could do this. And if I got help from them and I have this and this, do you know what? If all that was to come together, I could possibly achieve X. That's my goal. Okay, I was told I should have goals. I think I could do that. Let's do it. Now, it's better than nothing. But the problem with the B-type goal is you're only setting it because you think you can achieve it. You're not setting it because it's something that you really want. And the problem with B-type goals is I have this and I have this and this person can help me and then this happens and then this doesn't happen and my flat plan falls apart. And do you know what? Didn't really want it anyway. That didn't really work. I'm going to give up on that goal. Can anyone relate to that? Has anyone set that B-type goal, set off on the journey? This, and this happened, and then this didn't happen. So do you know what? No, it wasn't meant to be. We'll go and we'll set another goal and we'll try something else. Yeah, Aidan. I know I was in that camp constantly. Right. We want to get out of A and B. We want to become one of the 3% that's making it happen. Yes? Give me a thumbs up. Yes. Thank you, Neil. How do we do it? We set C-type goals. A C-type goal. And a C-type goal is, we start off, it's kind of a fantasy goal. It's something that we really want. And this is, again, we get so kind of bogged down in all the things we think we might be able to achieve. We forget about thinking about what we really want, what really excites us, what inspires me, what makes me want to jump out of bed on a Monday morning and get cracking because I'm working towards something I really want. Things aren't always going to go my way, but I really want it. It lights me up, fire in my belly. They're the goals that we've got to set. Now, what's the problem with setting these goals, and why do most people not set these goals? Is because they remember the blocks that we have. They don't know how, or they're afraid of failure, afraid of what other people might think, afraid of whatever. But the first is a lot of the time, I don't know how. But remember, a goal is to grow, not get. And in order to grow, we have to be doing things that we don't know how to do, and we learn. Branson didn't know how to get into space, but he got there. Not exactly how he wanted, and it took him way longer, but he never gave up on the goal and he never gave up on the vision. And this is something to remember. A goal is a vision to begin with. Don't worry about a plan. And this goes against what a lot of people will teach. Oh, but you have to have your 5-year plan and you've got to have your business plan. When has any plan gone to plan? So you can spend days, weeks, months mapping out a beautiful plan. One of two things happens. You get scared because you don't know how, or you stop because you can't go further than 5% of. Remember 5% strategy. Is there something you could do today that would move you towards that goal? Get moving. When you move 5%, you'll be able to see 5% further. And you'll be able to see further. Go as far as you can see, and then you'll be able to see further. So a C-type goal, there's 2 prerequisites. Something you really, really want. It excites you. It lights a fire in your belly. And you don't know how to do it. What do you mean you don't know? But that's the scary bit. But as I say, that's the bit that's going to make you grow. So who here would say they have a C-type goal? Or pop in the chat, you know, is it A, B, or C, or nothing? Good, we have C's. Well, congratulations. As I say, it's an empowering place to be. And when we understand some of the things that I'm saying here as well, it actually, you know, really kind of gets you excited about setting the C-type goals. And oh my God, I don't need to know how. I don't need to know everything. I need to want it. So let me then go on to the process of the art of creating. It's a creative process. We're creative people. And goal creation is an art. And the first part of the art is using our amazing imagination. You're going after something you haven't done before, so you're going to have to use your imagination. You don't know how, but you know, I really want it. Who was it? Dr. Werner Braun, I can never say the name. So it was President Kennedy was talking to von Braun, who is the founding father of the space project. And President Kennedy said to him, what will it take to send a man to the moon and bring him back safely to Earth? And von Braun said, the will to do it. And within that decade, they had sent a man to the moon and brought him back to Earth safely. So anything you can conceive in your mind and your imagination, you can achieve and you can have in your physical world. So get using your imagination. Get in touch with your emotions. Is it something I really, really want? Does it excite me? Does it light me on fire? Yes. Then you're going to ask yourself, am I able to do what I need to do? And when you're like, well, I don't know how. I don't know if I'm able yet because I don't know how. Well, I'll tell you now, if you have an inspired thought, if that's come from your imagination, it lights you on fire, the fire in your belly, I tell you, you have the ability to do it. So the second question you've got to ask yourself is, am I willing? Do I have the will to do it? And I'll tell you this, we're all giving up our life for whatever it is that we're doing. We're all spending probably a minimum of 40 hours a week doing what we're doing. So why not be doing and going after something that you really want, that C-type goal? And if you do, I guarantee you this process works. So fantasy. Yes, I'm able. Yes, I'm willing. Now I'm going to start thinking about my 5% strategy. What can I do today? Let's start putting ideas down. Once you've made that committed decision to do something, it's amazing the ideas, the resources, and the people that come out of the woodwork to support you. When we go, oh, I'll do it, but when I have the money or when I have the time or when the kids leave for college or when whatever, then the things don't come up because we haven't made a decision to do it. But we make a committed decision to do it. We then get to work and we start on our 5% strategy. Go as far as you can see and you'll be able to go further. And as I say, you'll be amazed the momentum then that you pick up, the people, the resources, you're going to hit bumps in the road. You're going to go down one-way streets and with roadblocks on them, and you're going to have to turn around. Doesn't always go exactly to plan, but you have your clear vision. You see the end result, you know what it is that you're going after, and you're willing to do what it takes. So, do you know what? There's a message in this. Something wasn't right. Let's try a different way. And if you keep with the faith, you will end up with your goal achieved. And then we start all over again. But in this, we've got to be remember, we always can choose our thoughts. And it's ultimately our thoughts that are going to create our results. So we got to be really careful. And we got to really practice thinking about what we want and not what we don't want. So I don't want to be using the money, but it's an easy one. I want financial freedom. I know I've put the specific number on that and what that is. I'm committed to going after that and getting it. I'm willing, I'm able, I've started, I'm taking action and I'm moving, but then I hit a roadblock and then I start worrying again about, what if I can't pay the bills? What if it doesn't happen? What if this doesn't work? Oh my God, no, but this hasn't gone to plan. Oh no, it's all, and I start going into that worry and doubt and I start to spiral. And again, that's then what I attract. So we gotta stay strong on the vision of where we're going and keep taking committed action, and have faith that you're on there's the difference between fear and faith. One is positive and one is a negative emotion. Both of them require us to believe in something that we can't see or touch. So I know which way I want to be thinking, because we become what we think about. Logic will get you from A to Z. Imagination will get you everywhere. I didn't say that. Albert Einstein said that. So really, our imagination is one of the greatest gifts that we have been given. So use it. Picture what you want. And again, you are the only person that will create the exact picture of the goal that you want. Nobody else in this entire world of how many billion people, even if we were told, your goal is to make X amount by doing this, this, and this, the vision and what you would see, the picture of your mind would be different to everybody else. So get clear on your picture. Now, before I go any further, because it is 10 to, I could continue and I've got some things that I could share with you, but I'd also like to kind of open this up at this stage and say, does anyone have any questions on anything that I have said today? Do you have any comments? Is there anything that you'd like me to kind of go over again? No? Okay. Okay, Isabel, you've got a question?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was not there the full time, so maybe I'm overlapping with something, hopefully not. I wondered, when you have so many goals or so many things you'd like to do, I say it's important to take a decision and to know you want to go in a certain direction. But what about making sure that you pick a number of goals that is accessible to do at the same time? Sorry if you already covered that.
No, and it's a great question. What I always recommend people do is to concentrate on one or two goals at a time. So I say get really clear on your vision, what you want. So let's say it's, you want to set up your own business and, grow it to whatever success is for you in that. Get really clear on what that picture looks like. And then pick some goals that are going to help to move you towards that. Does that make sense?
I think it does. So you would pick one or two at the same time and maybe kind of postpone some others.
It's not about postponing, it's about focusing. You know, it's that thing of, I want to set up my own business and I want to, which is a shop on a high street, but I also want to travel the world.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do both of those things at the same time. So I pick the one that I want to focus on now. And then once I've achieved that, I can move on to the next one.
It makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Okay, well, we've got 10 more minutes. So I've got the next part of our GPS, which I want to talk about. So first part of the GPS is goals. Two things we need to do. We need to know when we're setting our goals, exactly like using our Google Maps. We need to know where we are right now, and we need to know exactly where it is that we're wanting to go. Simple. If it's so simple, why are so many people stuck? And the biggest reason that people are stuck, I call it the I know, but. I know I should be going to the gym every day, but I don't have enough time because I'm busy doing other things. I know I should get up earlier, but I need my sleep and yada, yada, yada. Excuses, excuses, excuses. I know, but. I call this the knowing doing gap. We all know we've got more potential, but we're not doing the things we already know how to do in order to increase our potential. And imagine we were to do some of the things we know we should be doing and what that would do to the results that we get. You know, these questions, I know I should wake up earlier, but I know I should go to the gym, but I know I should eat healthier, but yada, 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 yada. What is anything and everything that comes after a but? We call it a paradigm. Has anyone heard of a paradigm before? Yeah. What is a paradigm? A paradigm is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior, and almost all of our behavior is habitual. Now, remember our stick man. Remember what I said about our conscious mind, our thinking mind, thinking now, it's responsible for 2 to 4% of everything we do. Everything we think, everything we believe. Our subconscious mind is responsible for 96 to 98%. And it's in the subconscious mind that the paradigm lives. The habits, the beliefs. And again, remember, so many of those paradigms and those beliefs have come about from a very old program. Really strong from the age of 0 to 7, because that's why we speak the languages we do. That's because we remember we didn't have a conscious mind at the time. We couldn't reject anything. So if it was said, if it was experienced, it went in there. And then at 7, we start to form the conscious mind, and that information like literally kind of gets locked in there. Again, if you kind of see that line comes across, now that's our paradigm set, and we continue our life with these beliefs that were set back then. And this paradigm is in control of our beliefs, our habits, our perception, our use of time, our self-image, creativity, productivity, logic, effectiveness, and money. So I urge you, when it comes to setting your goals, I want to be financially free. Great. Yes, it excites me. Yes, I believe I can do it. But actually then when I start to really think about what are my beliefs, what was the environment I was reared in? Was money free? Or was it, were we told we have to work hard for money? Again, I'm sorry to use that. It's just one that's kind of, it's easy, but that literally can go across everything. think about what you want, and then think, wait a minute, but what are the real beliefs that I have around that? And if so, why? And all the time you can pinpoint some of these things back to a teacher. For an example, I was told when I was in school that I was no good at creative writing. I didn't have a very good imagination, and I wasn't very good at creative writing. Years later, and I'm doing this study, and I realize I was blocked my whole way through my university, writing essays, doing any sort of the assignments like that. I was always feeling blocked because I had this belief I was no good at it. And I look back at it now, and I remember when I was given an essay, creative essay to write, it was always at the weekend. Friday afternoon, I wanted to go home. I wanted to go out and play with my mates. I didn't want to sit in and write an essay. So I put any old rubbish down on a piece of, on the page on the Sunday evening, got it done, brought it in on Monday, and then got told I was no good at. My parents got told I was no good at. They told me I was no good at, and then I grew up believing I was no good at creative writing. And it blocked me from being able to write creatively for years. That's just an example, but everybody, you owe it to yourselves to do a little bit of housekeeping. I talk about, you know, we've got literally like a cassette, a Walkman cassette playing in our subconscious mind, and it's ruling us at the moment. We need to upgrade the software, put in the USB stick, you know, plug in Spotify. What beliefs and what habits are you still operating with that are complete BS? But from what you took on from when you were a kid. 96 to 98% of everything we do is habitual. And once we create the habits, it's hard to release them. But it's not hard, but we've got to make a conscious effort to do it. So if you have a belief that money doesn't grow on trees, what can I do to change that? Change the belief, change the habit, and change the program. And if we impress the new program into the subconscious mind has to accept what's impressed upon it. So if I stop saying money doesn't grow on trees and start feeding my subconscious mind that money is freely available, I start to, this money doesn't grow on trees. I'm not feeding it. I'm not watering it. I'm not thinking about it. It starts to wither, and I start to feed, water, and grow my belief that money is readily available to me, or whatever. I have to accept it. My subconscious mind, it doesn't know the difference between right and wrong. It doesn't have a personality. It doesn't know the difference between good and bad. It just takes information that's impressed upon it, and then it in turn moves the body into action to take relevant action, which, as I say, creates a reaction, which gives us the results in our life. So I urge you, do some mental housekeeping, set your goals, C-type goals. What do I really, really want? When you've decided what you really, really want, have a think about what are my beliefs, my habits around that. Because the reason you don't have it right now is because the way that you're thinking about it right now. So we need to change that. Upgrade the software and watch the results turn around and change in your life. So I'm going to finish with just saying, you know, ask yourself, what are the biggest negative beliefs or habits that are getting in the way of your goal? And then now, what is after the but? What's the excuse or the reason? Because it's just an excuse. I know, but everything that comes after the but is an excuse. So we need to upgrade it. So it's not who you are that is holding you back. It's who you think you're not. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've taken a lot out of this. What I would love to do, I love the Republic of Work community. And if you have found this useful, if you'd like to chat to me any more about it, I'd love to offer you all a goal setting call. So I'm going to pop my, my calendar link into the chat. And I'm going to invite you to, as I say, a 1 hour kind of goal setting. If you want to get clear on your goals and you're not quite sure, is it a B, is it a C, am I on the right tracks, get in touch. I'd love to chat to you and help you out. And as I say, it's kind of, you know, my gift to Republic of Work community. I'll also give this link to Gennaro afterwards so that he can send it around. But click on it there, book in a call, and I'd love to chat to you. And as I say, help you move towards the goals that you really want for your business and your life. So thank you very much for sharing your lunchtime with me. If anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to stay on for another minute, but I know that it is 1 minute past 2, so I also understand if you've got to run off.